The Paper Boat by Genoveva Edroza Matute. The children were delighted as they watched the floodwaters rise. It was exactly what they had been hoping for ever since the rain began. They knew that if the rain continued for 3 straight days, the rice fields would be completely submerged. Now it was already the 5th consecutive day of relentless rainfall. Many little children set paper boats afloat. Some drifted away with the current. Some were swallowed by the water, while others were torn apart and destroyed. Whenever I see a paper boat, I am reminded of a little boy. A boy who folded 3 large paper boats that he never had the chance to sail. One stormy night, the little boy awoke to the deafening roar of thunder. For a brief moment, he thought it was New Year's Eve. The booming sounds reminded him of the fireworks that welcomed the new year. But after a few seconds, he realized there were no joyful explosions coming from outside their house. Slowly, he opened his eyes. In the darkness, he could make out nothing except a faint glimmer of light. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the room. Startled, he quickly turned his gaze toward his mother. The thunder rumbled like giant boulders rolling across the roof. Each deafening crash was followed by a flash of lightning that briefly lit up their home before darkness returned once more. Meanwhile, the rain continued to pour endlessly upon their roof, around their small house, and across everything outside. He turned toward the room and called out, "Mother, is it raining?" "Yes, my son," came his mother's voice from the far end of the room. "Mother," he asked again, "has father come home yet?" His mother answered, but he could not understand what she said. He turned over and reached toward her with his left arm. Beside him lay his younger sister, Myling. Beyond her, he could feel his mother's body, and on the other side was the empty sleeping mat where his father should have been. He rolled onto his side and embraced his little sister. The bitter cold crept into his bones. He gently pulled part of the blanket from Myling and wrapped it around himself. But when his sister stirred in her sleep, he felt guilty. He carefully covered her again, giving her half the blanket while he kept the other half for himself. Soon he felt the cold pressing against his back. Stretching out his right hand from beneath the blanket, he reached for the woven sleeping mat and pulled it over until it covered the cold floor beneath him. "The floor is freezing," he thought as he quickly slipped his hand back under the blanket. Once again, he called softly, "Mother, why isn't father home yet? What time is it?" "Go to sleep now, my son," his mother answered gently. "Tomorrow you'll be able to sail the paper boats you've made." The boy immediately brightened. "Myling's boat will be small. Mine will be much bigger and stronger. It won't sink in the water." He eagerly sat up despite the darkness and reached for his mother's arm between his sister and her. He felt his mother's left arm gently stroke his head as she softly whispered, "Sleep now, my son." But the boy could not fall asleep. From outside came the whistling sound of the fierce wind, while the rain continued to pour without stopping. "Maybe father won't come home tonight," he murmured. He remembered that there had been nights when his father had not come home, but never had there been a night like this. "Does father sleep somewhere else when he doesn't come home?" he asked his mother. She did not answer. He glanced toward his mother, hoping to see whether she was still awake. But in the darkness, he could barely make out her face. Before he finally fell asleep, The last image that lingered in his mind was that of the 3 large paper boats waiting to be carried away by the floodwaters. Meanwhile, as the little boy drifted into his final dream, the storm continued to rage. Their tiny house trembled under the relentless rain, the fierce winds, and the crashing thunder. Morning came at last, but it was a different kind of morning. When the little boy awoke, he found himself alone on the sleeping mat. Mealing's blanket and his mother's were no longer beside him. He quickly sat up. A hand rested gently on his shoulder. Looking up, he saw Aling Berta, their neighbor. He could not understand the expression on her face. As the last traces of sleep left him, confusion filled his eyes. There were also Mang Pedring, Aling Ading, Aling Feli, Mang Turing, and Pepe. Their little house was almost filled with people. Frightened, the child searched for Miling and his mother. In one corner of the house, he found his mother sitting silently on the floor with Miling asleep in her lap. She gently and continuously stroked Miling's hair. His mother's face looked far paler than before. Yet her eyes remained wide open, staring into the distance. The little boy ran to her and anxiously asked one question, after another. "Mother, what happened? What happened, Mother? Why are there so many people here?" But it seemed she did not hear him at all. Her eyes remained fixed on nothingness, while her hand continued to caress Miling's hair. The child noticed Mang Pedring and Aling Feli move closer. Their conversation stopped the moment they saw him. The only words he heard were, 15 people were killed. He could not understand what it meant. More and more people arrived at their house. He saw the anxious faces around him. He watched his mother quietly gathering their belongings. Aling Feli burst into tears the moment she looked at him. As they walked, he kept asking, "Why? What happened?" No one answered him. Everyone he approached kept their lips tightly sealed. Some placed a comforting hand on his shoulder, while others gently stroked his hair before walking away. He could no longer remember how much time had passed before more people arrived. Then a strong voice called out, "Is everyone ready? You must leave at once. Captain Cedro will take all of you to a safe place. There is no more time. Before sunrise, this place will already be underwater. We cannot delay any longer." It took a long while before the little boy finally understood what had happened. Together with his mother, Miling, their neighbors, countless other people, and the few belongings they had managed to save, they left their village. From the bits and pieces of conversations he overheard, he slowly learned the truth. Among the 15 people who had died the night before was his father. He had been killed outside the town during the clash between the soldiers and the townspeople. Filled with uncertainty, the little boy walked toward his mother, whose steps had grown unbearably heavy. In a trembling voice, he asked, "Mother, why did the soldiers kill Father? Why? Why?" The children, who had been staring silently at the hardened ground, slowly lifted their eyes toward her face. After a long pause, she spoke in an almost inaudible voice. "That is what I too wish to know, my child. That is what I too wish to know." Meanwhile, with every step that carried him farther away from the little nipa hut and the tiny farm he had always called home, the orphan drifted farther from the world of his childhood. That night of thunder and raging winds, of dreams for the future and of paper boats, that night became the final night of a childhood that had lasted only a fleeting moment. The day that followed was filled with fear and questions that no tears could ever answer. And so, whenever I happen to see a paper boat, the memory of that little boy returns to me. A boy who folded 3 large paper boats that he never had the chance to set afloat. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed our English adaptation of The Paper Boat by Genoveva Edroza Matute and gained valuable lessons from this timeless Filipino short story. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, deeGjl, for more English translations of Filipino stories, educational content, and inspiring literary works. Your support helps us create more meaningful content. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next video.